Can anybody hear me for a test?
I can hear you, Dan.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We've got some new technology, so we're hoping that everyone can hear us better tonight and see us better. So I'd like to call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Mayor Linda Calhoun,
Here.
Councilor George Warnell,
Here.
Councilor Sloan Covington,
Here.
Councilor Dan Foley,
Here,
Councilor Steve Cherry is absent. You have a quorum.
Okay, if you would stand and join me in the invocation and the pledge of allegiance. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for this beautiful weather that we're having and the hope of moisture coming up in the next couple of days. We want to pray for our friends in the southern part of the state that are dealing with some wildfires right now. And we also want to pray protection over our community during the upcoming summer. Just be with us tonight as we go through our meeting and help us make wise decisions for our community. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first item is approval of agenda. If I could have a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
second,
Okay, any questions or discussions? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next item is approval of our minutes from our regular meeting, March 23rd, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of March 23rd, 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion?
aye,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
aye,
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we do have two presentations tonight. Is Taos Air on yet?
Yes,
Oh, perfect. Okay, Chaz, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you if you want to start your presentation.
great. Mayor and council, thanks so much for making some time for me to speak here. I'll keep this brief, but hopefully informative for you. Is it okay if I share my screen?
Yes, please.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, well, I represent the ownership interest of Taos Ski Valley and of Taos Air. And we've been working very closely with the community over the last couple of years, as I think some of you may know, on the Taos Air initiative to provide air service to in and out of Taos Regional Airport. A little bit of a background for you. You know, the town of Taos Regional Airport opened a new crosswind runway in August of 2017. And the town of Taos approached Taos Ski Valley and said, how could we work together and get the community involved to use the airport as an economic driver and an opportunity to diversify the economy. It took us about a year of brainstorming on how to proceed with that. And we came up with the idea of forming our own airline. And so we launched Taos Air in 2018. We launched winter service to Austin and Dallas markets. That was successful, and it was well received in those communities and locally. And so we then added 2 markets in California, in Los Angeles, and Carlsbad, San Diego in 2019. And that service was going along very nice in 2020, and we had to suspend service. We were planning on running summer service to our Texas markets that summer, but again, the pandemic really did not leave us the opportunity to do that. What we'd like to do, and what we intend to do, is to resume service to all 4 of the markets that we've flown in, starting this summer and going through the summer season and a little bit into fall, and then in the winter as well. For those of you who aren't familiar with Taos Air, we operate two 30-passenger Dornier jets. It's a scheduled chartered service that flies in and out of private terminals. So provides a lot of convenience for folks. You don't have to go to a commercial airport. It's a semi, and it's also the world's first carbon neutral airline. We've partnered with our B Corp partners to help us quantify our carbon impact of the service, and we invest in carbon offsetting projects around the world to offset our impact. The plane is ideal for Taos Airport because the airport's not certified to allow anything larger than 30-seat planes to fly in and out on scheduled service. So our 30-seat cabin is ideal. And again, air programs that run 7 or 9-seat planes in and out, you're really not bringing in that many people. It's tough to really see the economic impact. So bringing in 30 people at a time or close to that is impactful. To date, the airport has represented a really nice public-private partnership at all levels. The federal government funded over $25 million in 2016 and 17 to do the runway. They continue to fund tarmac work and other upgrades at the facility. The state has provided funding in terms of marketing grants and equipment and for planning. And the town, of course, has made investments in the airport. And on the private side, we've invested in two airplanes and all the startup costs to get the operation up and running. This is just a map I like to show folks that really captures the service and the connectivity that this would provide. As a reference point, Santa Fe has service to 3 markets. This would give the Enchanted Circle access to 4 markets, 2 of them being major hubs in Dallas and Los Angeles. So we are proposing service to start this July. So we would operate to all 4 markets, July, August, and September of this summer. And then we'd resume the service mid-December and through the winter season until the end of March. That gives about 28 weeks of service. We'd run 2 times a week in the summer and 3 times a week in the winter. And as the service matures and there's demand for it, we would increase it 3 times a week in the summer in the future. At load factors of 61%, that means there's 5,200 inbound passengers coming in from 4 major markets, which we're seeing that visitation is spread out throughout the Enchanted Circle. So to capture what's happened to date, our first year we had 75% load factor to our Texas markets. It's Austin and Dallas. They were pretty much tied. The visitation was spread 50-50. 50% were going up to Taos Ski Valley, and 50% were going to the rest of the Enchanted Circle. So that includes Red River, Angel Fire, town of Taos, etc. And we surveyed every season. We survey our passengers and we get economic information from them. And that year, it was determined that the service provided a $2.5 million regional impact. The following year, when we added the California markets, that impact grew to 4.2 million. And unfortunately, we suspended the service before Texas spring break, and the projections would have been over 5 million if we hadn't had to cancel the service. We do anticipate that the summer service, the visitation would lean more heavily to the rest of the Enchanted Circle just due to the popularity of existing destinations like Red River. So what we're trying to accomplish is to get an investment from the Enchanted Circle communities of about $1.1 million. Based upon that $5 million economic input or result from the winter service, we extrapolate that into $8 to $10 million of annual economic impact to the Enchanted Circle, in addition to providing connections with these 4 key markets that can help diversify the economy. I know the town of Taos is working hard on connecting with the film industry. Manufacturing provides opportunities there. And again, it provides local residents reasonable fares to these 4 markets. So here's our funding plan. And just as a reminder, about 2 years ago, there was a commitment made by the Enchanted Circle communities for $550,000 that provided Texas service, or would have provided if we were able to operate service to our Texas markets in the summer season only. And we had Red River Municipality contributing $19,000 to that effort. What we're proposing now is 2 seasons, summer and winter, all 4 markets. We're adding the California markets. So it's actually an 8 times the service that was originally intended. And we're looking to raise $1.1 million of air service support. We have visited with the Taos County today and proposed a $400,000 funding and investment, and they're going to vote on that next week. But the response was positive. The county has $6.3 million of American Rescue Plan funds, and so we've suggested that the county contribute the $200,000 that they previously committed, and an extra $200,000 of their $6.3 million of ARP funds, which is really only a 3% ask of their ARP funds. So the response was favorable. It was a good discussion. The town of Taos is actually in their council meeting right now, but we've met with obviously their administrators who are supportive of a $300,000 funding from their lodgers tax reserves. And we just met with the village of Taos Ski Valley, who provided a letter of support. We are working with their lodgers tax board to get approval in the next week or so for a $250,000 funding from the village of Taos Ski Valley. And we are reaching out to Angel Fire. We were not able to get on their schedule this week, but we are speaking with their mayor and administrator later this week to talk about a $65,000 funding. And what we thought would be appropriate and reasonable would be a $35,000 funding request from Red River. In this others line, we do intend to reach out to Angel Fire Resort and Red River Resort, and some other the realtors associations, et cetera, to pull together another $50,000 to get us to the $1.1 million funding request. We operate a ski resort, so the airline industry is very new for us over the past few years. And fortunately, we hired someone to help us run the airline, folks that really are familiar with this. But I've learned over the last couple of years that it is common for regional communities to invest in air service. And the challenge with our model is that 30 passenger airplane flying from California and Texas, those are fairly long routes. It's not profitable. It really would never be profitable unless you're charging a rate for the seats that frankly would be unattractive for anyone to take it. So in order for us to provide the service and bring people to the community and keep fares reasonable for residents, is that you need an investment from the community. And some examples within New Mexico is Hobbs, New Mexico invests $1 million a year or more in air service. Santa Fe invested $600,000 for their Phoenix route. That was just one route. And Roswell invested more than $1 million for a few years to get their Phoenix service established. So the advantage is that we are an airline that really has a vested interest in the Enchanted Circle. A typical third-party air operator is only focused on profits. We are really focused on the mutual beneficial result of providing air service into the Enchanted Circle for the Taos Ski Valley and the region. So we're in this for the long haul. We're really excited about this program and what it can do for all parties. We think the time is right to get this service going. The pandemic, hopefully we are moving in the right direction, or we continue to move in the right direction. We think that economic recovery through tourism and economic diversity is critical in the short and long term. We know that investments in air service have proven to be a good investment by communities because they've been doing them for decades, and they wouldn't do them if they weren't good investments. And we know that Taos Air, we feel, is a proven model because we have operated in and out of the airport for 2 winter seasons. I'll spare you reading all of these, but when we did our economic surveys, we also got a lot of really positive comments from local residents, and these are a few that really appreciated having the air service available to them as a convenience and at an affordable rate as an alternative to driving down to Santa Fe or Albuquerque to go and see family or friends, or have those family and friends visit them from those markets. Thank you. I really appreciate you allowing me the opportunity and the time to present this to you, and I certainly am available to answer any questions the mayor and council have.
Thank you, Chaz. Council, do you guys have questions?
I guess if this thing would grow, then you'd add more fleet and more trips down the road.
I think demand we will respond accordingly to demand, and we'll also be taking input from the community. We think these 4 markets are good ones for the whole Enchanted Circle, but there are other markets that I know folks have interest in eventually exploring. So I think we're going to start here, but if the demand is there and the support is there, we'll keep growing.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Chaz. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Okay. And we will take action on that later on the agenda. All right. Next item is Dennis Engineering to give us an update on the Main Street Highway 38 sidewalk project. So Tappan, are you on?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right, the floor is yours.
All right. Could I likewise get, excuse me, get the opportunity for the share screen?
Okay. I believe it's on.
Okay. All right. So I'll start with this one. Thank you all for the opportunity. And what I wanted to just present first is the drawings, preliminary drawings for the project. Have been submitted to the town, and in this set that's on the screen is roughly about 66 sheets, which I don't intend to go through each one by one, excuse me, but I did want to hit on some of the key points that have come up through previous meetings and discussions. And through those, we are looking at replacement of the sidewalk and the brick pavers on both sides of Main Street, from essentially one end of this Main Street to the other. And in these sections, you'll also notice that through the discussions, we found it necessary to replace the curb, which abuts and is adjacent to the brick pavers at this time. In doing so, we also encountered a number of locations where there's some drainage features. So your drop inlets where the storm drain goes, those are accounted for through this process to be readjusted and or replaced. Most of them are replaced because of either the condition of the concrete or the fact that by establishing grades for drainage, we need to change the elevations of some of those. So one of the things that in doing so, by replacing this curb, and I have a larger detail for this, is we're going to have a small patch of asphalt that is going to be parallel along the entire length of the project on both sides. So in one of the difficulties that we found that we've addressed in the design is how to reconstruct those locations and also have let me find that. The drainage from the streets get into the curb line. So we have somewhere here, these are a number of the drainage structures that we see here is what I was looking for is, let me just go back to this sheet. So in the design, by looking at the vertical or the horizontal profile, this curb, the intent is to keep it a little bit lower than the pavement. So when this patch work is done, that this road will drain into the curb so that the water reaches the drop inlets. Additionally, is through the different locations we've talked about curb extensions. Here's an example of the one at Pioneer Road. where you have these curb extensions, we looked at the drainage in both directions to make sure that we're getting the drainage to convey to the drop inlets where the water would then leave the streets. In the curb extensions, and I wanted to find one with a four-way intersection. I'm gonna leave it at this one right here. We have the layouts that we've done on here, and then in the plan set, there's gonna be an enlargement for each of these curb extensions. And this, as an example, gives you the one of them at Bunker Hill. In these scenarios, there's different layouts, if you will, for how the ramps for the ADA compliance will approach the streets, but all of the ramps through discussion with Public Works are going to be wide enough that their Bobcat can clear the snow from the ramps as they parallel Main Street or cross Main Street. And then we've also identified these raised areas at the corners where the town had requested that we look at areas for landscaping or other features, and then left some landings back behind the sidewalks where there could be chairs or benches, trash receptacles, or other items placed for pedestrian traffic. An example of this curb extension, I wanted to see if I can pull it up and show you, and we pulled this together from some of the CAD work. This kind of gives a 3D rendering visual, if you will, of some of the different layouts and options. We do have some conditions where we have some raised planting areas that are adjacent to the sidewalk before we get to the curb extension. And some, if we had room in the rights of way, to put some behind the sidewalk. But the raised areas that you see here are at all of the locations. So as the pedestrians cross either the side street or Main Street, this is kind of delineator to give them some, besides the landscaping, gives them some area of protection from ongoing traffic. The extent that these extend into Main Street is, and I'll go back to the plan, is just right at the limit, just before the striping that is currently in place for the parallel parking. So going back to this image right here, these curb extensions don't extend beyond the striping, to give you some perspective based on what you have currently. The other thing I wanted to identify or show in some of these is the plans do show for the crosswalks, once they're done, is to be restriped. Not in all cases, just because of the alignment of the cross street, they're not perpendicular, but you can see here it's fairly perpendicular. And based upon the orientation and the layout of the ramps, in order to meet the ADA requirements and the cross slopes, an example here at Pioneer, it's a little skewed in order to provide the proper approach for pedestrian traffic, and then also not to make these curves as you exit the side streets too sharp to where longer vehicles or vehicles with trailers couldn't make this turn. In developing the drawings, and they're referred to as preliminary, in the grant agreement with which the town received the funding, it just says preliminary drawings. There's really no percent complete, if you will, identified. This design we feel is, I would say, the 90 to 95% complete, with changes other than that desired by the town only being related to specific funding program requirements. There's always some provision that you may have to incorporate to the project based upon a grant agreement or some other arrangement for meeting the funding program requirements. So when we submitted the drawings, there was also a cost opinion that was prepared and submitted, and the cost opinion was given in some options. And what we did was based upon a state-funded project with just the ADA items. When I say just the ADA, what's currently on the drawings versus a state-funded project that included they call it a mill and inlay, where they would mill out the asphalt and put a new asphalt in once all the concrete work was complete, and then restriping the entire roadway. And the same scenario for the mill and inlay and striping if it was federal funds that were utilized. And there is a difference in the different components based upon some of the federal program requirements that will have to be implemented that are not required by the state program. In the I'm sorry, we have this also split into on the north side and the south side. Regardless of the funding, and whenever this project does go to construction, we are anticipating a minimum of a 2-year construction period, just based upon the construction window you all have for weather. So between the state funded, federal funded, and then the options, the current project for replacing the sidewalk ADA, this is again a cost opinion, not actual construction numbers, but we develop cost opinions based upon current market trends, recent bids, and the project area. It's roughly, we're looking at 4.5 million. If we're at a state-funded project that includes the mill and inlay and striping, we're estimating at 5.6. And then if we get into a federal program that includes the mill and inlay and striping, we're estimating just over 6 million. I'd be glad to go over any particular or specific questions, or if there's something that maybe I didn't cover you had interest in, I'd be glad to address that.
Hey, tap.
Who is this? Dan, we're having a little hard time hearing you.
Can you hear me tapping?
I can now, yes, sir.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, the question I was just wondering, in the drawings that I'm looking at here, do we have anything as far as would be placed or any of that, is that in any of this design?
I'm sorry, what, if what is replaced?
No, as far as in the design, do we have anything in there for the street light locations?
So the streetlights as they are currently are included in here, but no changes to the street lighting. The current scope scope of your agreement and funding is for addressing the ADA issues that are currently in place.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Tapping on those bump outs, so they don't go quite to the current edge of the road markings, but it's enough to, I still wonder if they're gonna have problems with the snow plowing.
Well, Counselor, there will probably, well, not probably, there's going to have to be some attention, if you will, paid towards it. This current, if you can see on the screen, this grayish line that's right here, that's the edge of the striping. So in the driving lanes and the median, a straight through access is clear, if you will. But over here on this parallel parking, indeed, as they proceed down, there's going to have to be movement of the equipment to go around those. And this kind of gives you a pictorial view. Is this will be the parking area, parallel parking area, and then the stripe, the center stripes aren't shown here, but you have a lane, a median, and a lane.
Okay.
And if I can, to go back, the idea when this was, excuse me, brought forth and discussed was to get the pedestrian traffic out from behind the parked cars, if you will, for visual observation of oncoming traffic in both directions, yet not being in the parking or traveled roadway.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I don't guess it's gonna be any worse than all the cars that have to go around anyway that are parked there.
Exactly. Any other questions? And Tappan, I'm guessing we'll have these preliminary drawings available at Town Hall if people want to come by and take a look at them?
Yes, ma'am. There is a full set there, and then there's some individual sheets of larger prints. And if more are desired or more copies, just let me know and I can get that to you.
Okay, thank you. So now we have our job cut out for us to find some money, don't we?
Yes, ma'am. And anything we can do along those lines, we would be glad to help with.
Okay, thank you, appreciate it. All right, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Tappan.
Thank you all.
Okay. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is recognition of town employees for years of service. And Jeff is unfortunately not here, but Jeff Brunson has been with us for 15 years, which is amazing because he's one of the first employees I hired after I was elected in 2006. So he's been with Public Works and he does an outstanding job. So we do have a certificate to present to Jeff, and if you see him, just thank him for his 15 years of service. Okay? Yeah, good old pat on the back. Okay, we'll move on to financial report and approval of our expenditures for March.
Okay. March, 25% of the budget is used today. And our specific sector, construction, was up $6,851, 179.43%. Retail trade was up $11,361, 13.91%.
Wait a second.
Okay.
You said it was up how much? Oh, 11,000. Okay, I apologize.
Real estate was up $8,048, 86%. Accommodation food service was down $2,075, 6%. Gross receipts tax collected in April for the month was up $8,890, 5.13%. Year-to-date, we're down $44,133, 2.67%. Lodgers tax, everyone reported except for one nightly rental. For the month, we're down $12,750, 16.77%. Year-to-date, we're down $74,627, 11.6%.
Okay, if you guys want to quickly review the expenditures, if you have any questions.
It's 2 years of air service, so we're down.
Do what?
We're down 2 years of air service.
We are, aren't we? There you go. See?
Question on that WH Pacific for the heliport study, is that where we're studying to see if we could cut back on the size of the
Exactly.
equipment?
Yes.
Do we have results?
He was gonna give us, in layman terms, he's gonna send us, the figures and stuff like that. We'll have that soon.
So what do we have planned if we can cut back a little bit on the size?
Some of the things that we're thinking about, if we, do that sports complex or whatnot, we'll have more parking space.
Because it'd have to be on this east side, right, where you cut back. Because
Well,
on the
correct.
west side, you're right up almost to
Right.
the fence of the,
Any other questions?
Not for me.
All right, if no other questions, I would take a motion to approve.
make a motion that we approve the
I'll make-
financial expenditures of March 2021. Dan wants to second that.
There
We'll
you
second
go.
that by Dee. All right, any other discussion or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Sorry.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Okay, next item is committee reports. We'll start with public safety.
Okay, we did have a meeting, full attendance, surprising. We had department reports, Marshal's office, Tim reported that, they're in the later stages of planning for Memorial Day. They still anticipate a large crowd. And, I can see that bookings at the lodges seem to be doing pretty well. Vendors will only be on private property instead of the park, which we've discussed before. He was getting ready to have a meeting on April 14th with the state police to establish what kind of resources will be available from them. And lodging donations for additional officers are down because people that lost money last year don't want to donate this year. They're about to do a contract with Motorola for a new report management system and a computer-assisted dispatch. There's new systems that'll coordinate better with everything in town, and the fire department will eventually be able to tie into that too. So all those reports and everything will be in one system. Committee member Jerry Hogarth reported that the 911 tax is now being received from the county, and since the third quarter of 2020, and he estimates our annual revenue will be between 100 and 110,000 per year.
That's a whole,
What are we at right now, 40,
we just,
41,000?
I think we're up now, 60. We just received a payment.
We're not getting back paid, right?
Not yet,
Not yet. All right.
not yet.
Yeah, the EMS, Ed Saint reported that transfers were, they had 13 for March, which is on par with previous years. The department added another staff member that made us able to do more transfers. There were 35 EMS calls in March, higher than average. Most of those were in the ski area, not having a clinic there. Total volume for ambulance for March was 48. In 2021, there was 29 transfers and 78 EMS calls. The hospital has a contract with Superior Ambulance for transfers, but apparently they're not getting what they want because they still call Red River for a lot of assistance in that. But we can only do it when we're capable. We're not taking everything like we used to. The intermediate class is going well, and it's scheduled for May 15th completion. The students are doing clinicals with the hospital in Espanola and also at EMS in Taos. The department has agreed in place with UNM and UM campus and the academy so they can do some procedures in Red River. Having this agreement will be tremendous help for the Enchanted Circle. The department has gone back to in-person trainings, and it seems like people can learn better that way. And in the fire department, DECLOS reported ramping up for wildfire season. They've already had a couple of trainings over the past few weeks. There were 4 fire calls in March, and he's still expecting delivery for everything in July, and some of the equipment to fit that new engine is already starting to arrive. And at that point, we adjourned.
Perfect. And just an update on that 273,000 for dispatch. We're on the agenda with the Department of Finance or the Board of Finance, and that should be coming up just pretty soon to request some of that funding. So hopefully we'll get something there. Any questions for Councilor Wendell? Okay, we'll move on to Public Works. Steve is on, is there, I don't see, oh, Public Works. Okay, so we do have, their agenda, a quick update. Let's see, Public Works, they're working on the pothole repairs. I know they used up all the asphalt they had, and they've got another couple of pallets in Albuquerque you're gonna have to pick up. We've got water issues in the Tenderfoot area, working on sewer cleanouts prior to Memorial Day, 4 new sewer taps throughout town, and still working on power fluctuations on wells 5 and 6. We've met with the engineers to talk about planning for the Public Works building, and we're still moving forward with that. Anchorville is in town. They're supposed to start construction. I know they had a meeting yesterday, and I see the cones. Is that for Anchorville? So that should begin early May. They're supposed to have 3 crews coming in, and they promise they'll get it in and out. Pioneer Tank, we're still waiting to get that painted on the outside and install the mixing system. We've got to have extended warmer temperatures for a period of time, and our nighttime temperatures are what get us on that. And then I believe they adjourned. Okay, Parks and Rec.
We did have a quorum.
Dan, we
And
can't under,
Tracy got a Zoom meeting scheduled with, can you hear me now?
yes,
Can y'all hear me now?
yes,
Okay, so Tracy got a meeting with Extra Play with Greg Neal and the mayor, and also Isaac from Public Works was there as well. And we had gotten him estimated budget from between like 75 to 100,000, and to cover like equipment and freight expenses. And Public Works would be doing the steps necessary as far as removal for all of the old equipment and installation of the new playground equipment. And we're hoping if we get this approved, that we'll be able to have all that installed and everything done by July the 1st. And we also had some finalizing on some plans. Linda got us a couple more quotes in for the tennis court and pickleball courts, and as far as configurations and stuff. And I think we've got that on the agenda to discuss here shortly as well. And then also we have the cleanup date for Brandenburg Park and the trails, and that is scheduled for May the 12th at 10 a.m. We want everybody to meet at the pavilion there in Brandenburg Park. And if they could bring some rakes and shovels and stuff, and whoever's going to work on the trail crew, if you guys will be sure and bring your A game, because that one's going to be a little more of a workout. So, but we'd love to have everybody. We really need help from the town. And if we can get all this cleaned up, we'll be in great shape for this summer for us. And then also, Paulette and Dina went around town and they were looking at information for our signage locations. And we're going to have that on our agenda to discuss at our next meeting. So, and other than that, that wrapped everything, and then our meeting was adjourned.
okay, thank you. Any questions for Councilor Foley? Okay, thank you, Dan. We'll move on to Rogers Tech and Economic Development.
We did have a meeting and update from the chamber. I think since then they've changed postponed art and wine till the fall, and so we're hopeful on Oktoberfest We're working on the medical cost sharing program that they're working on for locals and local businesses, and we're updating some bylaws. Ski area obviously closed. They had a good successful season, thanks to everybody for that. Their dates for summer operations are up for everybody to see. Update from the tourism department. We're still finishing up the CARES Act funding. There's just a couple left, so if Sybil is asking you, please get that to her so that we can finish that up and move on. Happy, which is our advertising agency, received an ADDIE award for the mascot campaign in the state of Arizona, and now it's headed to the regional competition. Finished up several contracts for summer advertising, which includes billboards, connected TV, and Cyclefish. Now I'm up to the creative for those. Finished an ad with House News, Summer Guide Texas Monthly, Reddit Reminder, working on video for the Century Tour and press release. Push campaign has started within our app as well. Max and Sybil are working on some more classes and getting some more continuing education so they can offer some more things for us, which is great. Remodeling the kitchen in the conference center, and we've got some stuff starting to show up so that we are able to have more events here. Also working on looking into upgrading the audio and visual at the conference center. Been meeting with different companies to find out pricing and what our options are to make it a little more appealing of a meeting space. Completed a grant with New Mexico Clean and Beautiful. We are also associate members of Keep America Beautiful. More to come on that. Changed the website over from summer from winter, and continuing to update photos, listings, and moving things around. If you're a business with a listing, please contact April if you need to get an updated photo so that we can make sure everyone looks up to date and professional on there. The town is going full swing, working on Memorial Day car show and encampment. Gemini Adventures has the running race going on their website. Since the new Century Tour, folks were here and getting that going. Successful blood drive, COVID testing every other Tuesday. Continued testing to stay in turquoise. We've had the journalists in town, meeting with COAD, New Mexico Main Street, Outside TV, New Mexico True, and several others coming on Zoom. And Benny has been helping paint the town hall and also with carpeting. Workforce housing update. We are at 90% occupied, but at that time, still with some new tenants ready to move in as soon as some work was completed on some recently vacated units. There's still some units that need work, replacing heating units and water supply lines. Have replaced flooring in other units. We'll be painting some more before the new tenants move in. And that is it. We adjourn.
Okay, and we have signed the contract with Roma Seep, and the initial press release went out today, so.
Registration is online, up and running. Yeah, we had at least one pickup by.
And that is our bicycle.
That's
For the Century Tour.
The Century Tour.
That's the Century Tour, correct.
It's all running, they sent out an email to 45,000 cyclists Tuesday, so.
And Pam LeBlanc was here last week. We had dinner with her Friday, and she loves Red River, of course, and is eagerly writing stories and getting the word out about us, so that.
And thanks to April for organizing that. So.
Great picture of you, too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We took her
fishing, and it was
So
nice.
we tried to do the best we could on a quick trip down, snowed on us, it was great.
Okay, let's see, mayor's report. We have been busily working on some federal grant submissions. I want to give a huge thank you, and I wish Russell was still here, but Russell and Sybil stepped up. We found out on a Wednesday, and we had like 3 days to get everything together and letters of support from the community. So we're asking money for, this is through the Congressman Lujan, Congressman Teresa Ledger Fernandez. And we asked for money for the sidewalk project, for High Street, for our public works facility, upgrades to town hall, and upgrades to this building. So it's a very short turnaround time, and we're expecting something to come out from the senator's office. And Christine helped to, update to the housing, yes, exactly. I didn't have that on my list, but we definitely need upgrades to the housing. So, and we did talk about how important workforce housing is to us. And then I also had a chance to meet with Senator Lujan, and again, was able to talk about workforce housing and,
What kind of funding are they talking about putting out? How much?
millions.
Millions?
Millions. This will be federal earmarks, which they haven't done in probably years, 10 years. We haven't had earmarks, so it's kind of exciting to think that we have that pot to draw from again. We also have CDBG coming up, so that's another $750,000 that we may be able to get for some of these big projects that will be identified. We do have Richard Krause, who is our federal lobbyist consultant in DC, is going to be here over Memorial Weekend. So he'll have an opportunity to actually walk around and view all the projects that we're asking for funding for. So that'll be a huge help. I got a call from Chris Stagg last week, and there's some kind of broadband opportunity for ski towns and ski areas. So we're going to be keeping our eyes open for that and see what we might could do to increase our broadband capabilities.
Yeah, he talked about that today in Ski New Mexico.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
A question about that. Is that cell phone networks in town or fiber broadband as an alternative to Kit Carson or?
I think he was talking more like 5G antennas and
Okay.
some, and in places that don't have fiber to them, to run fiber to, and some rural areas don't have it.
Okay.
So, but there was some talk of 5G
Okay.
service also.
Because the entire town was down a couple of nights ago. Verizon and Kit Carson was out.
Correct.
And I was gonna ask about that. Do we know what
I have not heard what
I
happened,
haven't heard either.
so I'm not
Well,
sure.
anything the town could do to improve our network reliability and everywhere would be an awesome thing.
Agreed, definitely important, so. Tomorrow, Kit Carson is hosting, a meeting on EV charging, electric vehicle charging stations, and that's something they're looking at and putting out throughout the area. We did send a letter of support or a letter asking help to our senators for the J-1s that we're trying to get in for this summer, helping them with their J-1 visas. They're having some issues with the consulates and everything being closed and working on short hours. So hopefully we'll get some help from Senator Lujan and Senator Heinrich on that. We did get the $110,000 from the American Recovery, and we're still kind of waiting to see exactly what that can be spent on, but we're hoping maybe we could do some revenue recovery since we are down, 26% in GRT and 11% in lodger's tax. Cimarron Prom, Colfax turned red last Wednesday, so we are going to be hosting the Cimarron Prom up here on Saturday night. So I think that's just a real feel-good thing that we're able to do to help the community. Let's see. Our Mayor's Council meeting yesterday was probably the most positive feeling that we've had since we've been meeting in the last year and a half. There's going to be a press release tomorrow, and I'm hoping that it's going to be some real positive news that we hear coming out of that. So stay tuned. And I think that's everything that I have. Oh, a couple of things. I made notes and I forgot. We need to have a budget meeting, council, and we also need to look at updating our cannabis ordinance now that recreational has passed. But it just needs to be updated anyway because we did it kind of quickly when we were implementing that. But I'm hoping May 11th, which is normal, regular scheduled committee day, that you might be available. Does that work? So that would be the second Tuesday in May.
Yeah, I'll double check, but it should be.
Okay, and we'll probably do that in person, and it'll probably be a pretty long meeting. Dan, will you be back by then?
Yes, ma'am, I'll be good to go.
Okay, and Georgiana and I have met with most committee heads and gone through budgets and gotten recommendations.
Yes, ma'am, I'll be good.
Okay, perfect, Dan, we got you down.
Glad you're having a good time, Dan.
Okay, and I think that's everything. Any questions for me?
Do you think there will be any talk, with the announcement to adjust the metrics for the red to turquoise so that what happened to Colfax may not happen to us?
I think it's a distinct possibility,
Okay.
okay?
Will rescind?
That maybe they'll start looking at some different metrics,
Oh.
possibly using the vaccination rate, adding that in as a metric so that it's not, because people aren't getting tested as much. So it's really hard with those numbers to
And they
keep
had
it.
8 for 2 weeks in the whole county, right?
Yeah, and so in the real, rural areas, it's just tough. So I think they understand that, and they understand that now that we're over 50% vaccinated within the state. And they were also very encouraging, talking about events, outside events this summer, and Balloon Fiesta, and Indian Market, and, he said, let's get events going. So I think it's gonna be very positive.
Is there, what is the limits on like turquoise now? What kind of events can you do and how many people can you have at them or whatever?
We can do, in the conference center, we can have, 250 people, because we're.
30, we're at 33% capacity.
Okay.
What percentage?
33%, that's indoor.
That's indoor, and outdoors, it's 75%, and I think it's like one person per 36 feet, is that 36 feet is what they said yesterday, so I think in the park, we could have some ridiculous number. But it was like 14,000, I think, but
That's like normal, but.
that's normal, so 75% of that. But, you know, I think, looking at Chili Cook-Off and the music festival, if we could have 3,500 to 4,000, that would be incredible, yeah.
Is there any talk of anything beyond turquoise, or are we just, is that
I
the
don't know,
end?
we'll have to
You
see.
know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess beyond turquoise would be full reopening and, you know, but,
Make sure that stays on the table.
do what?
Make sure that stays on the table.
She's got some tough mayors giving her a hard time, so it's, but it was positive, so. Okay. So we'll move on to planning and zoning. Christine?
Mayor, council, so we, have a variance application for, a deck setback from Michael House and the Young Grant subdivision in block 47. The variance is on the deck only, not on the structure of the building, and he would like to go 5 foot into the building setback, which is 10 feet. Does anybody have any questions?
And what was the recommendation?
Planning and zoning sends a positive recommendation.
Okay. So if I could have a motion, and then if there's any discussion, so if I could have a motion to accept P and Z's recommendation,
I'll make a motion to accept P and D's recommendation.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so now if there's any questions or discussion by council?
So does that deck go out to the water's edge or,
Towards the river, correct.
yeah, but I mean,
Not towards either neighbor on the right or left, it's to the rear of the building.
Does it go all the way out to the river?
No, okay, I guess that shows the river being up there.
It's the building encroachment, George, it's not past his lot. He will be completely on his own lot.
Any other questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second. If I could have roll call?
Councilor George Wondell,
Yes.
Councilor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Councilor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. All right, now we're gonna go on to new business, and we've got a lot of new business, guys, so. Our first item is Resolution 2021-06, surplus sale, and this is to, surplus the obsolete equipment owned by the town. And on here, we have, a printer, a steam table, a burner stove, and what about this? What about this?
I guess we can,
Okay.
because it's,
And then we have one more item. We want to go ahead and put the park equipment in Brandenburg Park, the playground equipment on the surplus.
Is the exercise equipment going out with the playground
The
stuff?
exercise equipment is staying.
it does not.
Does it not work?
I don't think most of them work.
Well, then we need to Greg to look at it when he comes up. Because we were looking at including that in with the new equipment, so. Okay, so 4 items will go on surplus sale. So if I could have a motion, to approve resolution 2021-6.
Make a motion, we approve resolution 2021-6.
Okay. Could you have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes.
Counselor Stone Covington,
Yes.
Yes.
Counselor George Mordo.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. The next item is to purchase a Public Works crew cab truck, and you do have the specs in your packet. It is state contract, so we don't have to go out to bid for that. So, and we do have the funds for this.
And it's replacing which vehicle? The one that
Well, actually, we're,
James is using?
exactly, and, Gary's, the street truck, the Ford is gonna go to park, and the new truck will go to street.
So if I can have a motion to purchase the truck,
I'll make a motion to purchase the truck.
do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion?
Where does it, what line item does that come out of?
We'll have to do a bar to create a vehicle line item, and he's taking it out of a few of his funds, so it's not coming out of one specific fund. Okay, so some of the streets, some, yeah.
Okay, any other questions? All right, roll call.
Counselor Stone Covington,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next 2, 3, and 4, we kind of need to talk about together. So we've gotten 2 quotes on the tennis courts. The first one is from DML Tennis Court Specialist, and theirs came in at, what was it?
18,340.
340 plus tax. Their process is a little bit different than Pro Track and Tennis, whose quote came in at, right at 20,000.
Plus some striping, so
Right.
that's 21,000.
21,000. They actually, Pro Track and Tennis actually gave a warranty with theirs, which I didn't think either one was going to because of the drainage. So, DML does not warrant theirs. They're out of Albuquerque. Pro Track and Tennis, I believe, is out of Dallas, but they do have plans to do, I think, 3 or 4 other courts in the area this summer. Our Public Works guys would go in and do the initial. This would be, on the existing skate park, is what they'd be putting in.
It has the asphalt, there's no
Right,
resurface
it has
that.
it, so they'll just resurface that. They will stripe it for pickleball and tennis. They talked about the nets, where we could have a net that's adjustable, but typically they want to make sure that they have somebody that can kind of keep an eye on that, so, yeah. So
Yeah,
that's something
'cause
we're going to
It
do.
might be playing tennis, and then right behind it, somebody wants to play pickleball, and
Yeah,
we don't pay.
so I don't know.
that net, and not the.
No, the
height of
actual
the net.
tennis net, the height of it.
Because it said something about it, pickleball's 2 inches lower than the tennis net.
Right.
Just give them shoes that are taller.
There you go. So anyway, so that's tennis court, so while you guys think about that, then on the other side where the existing tennis court is a disaster, and it just looks terrible. And we had talked about just asphalting that and moving the existing equipment to there.
For skate park.
Yeah, for the skate park. Our existing equipment is terrible, and the kids move it, and it tears up the surface, and it's just really not something we can be proud of. So our options are, and we do have the money to do these things, would be to completely redo the existing tennis court into a really nice tennis court or into a really nice skate park. And I think the cost is gonna be probably about the same. And
Just one or the other.
one or the other. And
You mean, we're either gonna do do tennis court or we're gonna do. skate
No,
park.
we're gonna have a tennis court,
That's what it's gonna
period.
get.
But for the second one,
You're either,
we could either do tennis.
A second tennis court?
Well,
No.
yeah, so we're gonna have a tennis court where the skate park is, okay, on the east side. On the west side, where this court is, it's not usable for anything. That we talked about maybe asphalting it and turning it into a skate park. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna be spending a lot of money to asphalt it and put really old crappy equipment on it. Or we could turn it into a really nice tennis court and have 2 tennis courts. Or turn it into a nice skate park and have a skate park and a tennis court.
Was there ever a discussion of having the skate park kind of in the back where it is, with doing some dirt work around for like a pump track for bikes as well? You know, do you remember that
I do
conversation?
remember that conversation, and I just don't know where we would put it.
yeah, the bike track's down at the front, and letting those guys do a bunch of work on that, right?
That's there, but if you look at the plans for the skate park, did you look at those?
Yeah.
And none of that would be could be used, I think some of that could be used for bicycles, couldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I just was talking, and then nobody talked about having kind of like a nice concrete skate park with maybe some dirt around the perimeter and that back part of the park there. And it seems like it would make sense to have the skate and the dirt next to each other, away from the tennis. But,
Okay,
so that's one question I have.
okay,
Second question I have,
okay.
some of these show lights.
Uh-huh.
Is that included on any of ours? Because I know that I've heard from some people that lights would be great. I mean, the skate park gets used, right?
And Isaac and I talked about that, but we don't have electricity, and he was gonna look into some solar lines that might work. So we do need some lights out there.
Okay.
So yeah, so I guess, the decision is, do we wanna keep a skate park? And originally I thought, no, we don't, but I think we do.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah,
yeah.
'cause that cuts those kids out that wanna use that kind of stuff.
But
And
you,
I don't know how
if you go down there, it's used all the time. Granted, there's no tennis court right now, so.
Right. So Dan, what's your thinking on that with the Parks Committee? Do you feel like the skate park, having a nice tennis court and a nice skate park is the way to go?
Yeah, because if we can start off doing the tennis court slash and stripe it where it can go tennis or pickleballs, then that would be good thing. Then we have a nice skate park. And then, like I said, as we move forward down for the sports complex, we could still then add a couple more pickleball courts or something down there. And we'd still have a really nice skateboard park for the kids and stuff. And then be able to keep the bicycle over there where they are now, kind of behind the basketball.
Okay.
So I guess my other question is why we have to swap where they are now?
Because it's gonna be more expensive. Well, okay, the original thinking was the asphalt was in better shape, so we could just resurface that and that would be cheaper.
Where the skate park is now.
For the skate park is now.
Okay.
We're gonna have to redo the old tennis courts no matter what.
No matter what.
So if we just can do the $18,000 or $20,000 overlay and get a tennis court, then we can put all the rest of our money into the other side, making it a nice
Got
skate
it.
park.
Okay.
And we can certainly work with these people and get some different designs with putt tracks and see what they
I
can
know
do differently.
the Angel Fires met with the Tony Hawk Foundation, and those guys came in and were really supportive and had it's a nonprofit that kind of helps municipalities organize this type of project and get funding. Sounds like the fact that we already have a location and that we're doing it is massive.
Wow.
So check that.
So what do we do to keep them from destroying this new equipment right away?
I think what's wrong with the other equipment is it's movable.
So this
And so
stuff,
they haven't destroyed it because it's concrete, but they just move it and it scratches and does this kind of stuff. I think this would be,
so this stuff is not movable.
I think it would be heavier and they wouldn't move it because the way the rails would be mounted, I don't think it would, because I know they're putting in a park now in Colorado Springs, and they're also doing another one in Colorado, and I believe it's
Delmore.
Now,
Coordinate.
is that one,
Always kids there.
is that one of the ones that's built into the ground?
It's all concrete, yeah.
Yeah.
I know the snow does.
Would there be any feasibility in moving some of our old equipment down to where the, bike track is? And that way you'd have a pump track there and some skate stuff down there.
Maybe, be worth talking, I mean, don't throw it away yet. right?
Yeah, we don't throw it away.
That way, that would be all down there.
That's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So many options.
So I guess, so tonight we need to decide if we want to go with ProTrack or the other one, or do we just want to,
For the tennis court.
for the tennis court?
Yeah, yes, because, and one has a warranty and the other one doesn't, so for the price difference,
Yeah.
that's just something to think
So
about.
my recommendation would be to go with ProTrack. And we were put in, contact with both of these companies, with the owner of the Quail Ridge Tennis Ranch down there, and he has worked with both of them. So I think both are very reputable, companies. It's just a little different, process. And I would tend to go with the one that can give us the warranty.
And warranties.
Yeah,
How long is the?
Yeah, I
warranty?
agree on that, lady.
How many?
3.
3 years, well, it's better than 0.
Yeah, you agree with that, Dan?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
then- Okay, if I could have a motion,
What was the final number on the warranty?
it was 20,000 and then another 400 and something, so
For-
probably
for each-
21
For each pickle track,
for each pickle
that you
thing.
want striped.
So, $2,500 more for a 3-year warranty?
Yeah. Seems to make sense to me. Okay, if I could have a motion to that effect to award, to ProTrack and tennis.
I'll make a motion.
I'll make
to-
the motion
Okay.
I'll make the motion to award it to ProTrack.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes,
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell.
Yes,
Okay, motion carries. That's exciting because we want to get this done as soon as we can.
Just done it right.
so we're gonna do, so now are we gonna do this where are we gonna do it on the east or the west?
We're going to do it on the east, where the asphalt is. So that skate park will be the skate park will be a complete redo.
Okay.
Yeah, and that way we get to just resurface the tennis court, because
Which is
otherwise,
fine, it's
yeah,
not cracking anything too much.
right. Okay, so now let's move on to the skate park. And we're talking probably about $150,000 to do this. So it's not a cheap project, but I think it's a really important project for the kids.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
So I think what we need to do is make the motion to go ahead and do the skate park, and then let's get some firm design work done. And then maybe we'll have a special meeting and,
Now they're gonna go and tear out all the old concrete probably, right? That's it.
right,
The old
yeah.
tennis court.
And we're hoping Public Works can go ahead and do all that for us and do the demolition. And then they'll come in. And we probably will get our Northern Paving to even do the prep surface. And then he'll come in on top of that and do the
Yeah, so
equipment.
now I thought that if we move the tennis courts to the other side, there's already good fencing sufficient there, right? If we put the tennis court where the,
We're gonna have to do
We
new
would have to-
fencing anyway. Well, we're gonna have the tennis courts where the skate park was,
and that has
and that has decent
decent
fencing.
fencing, yeah.
Yeah,
So that saves you some
right,
fencing for this other project.
yeah.
Because the skate park doesn't need fencing, does it, or would you just do a low fence or?
No.
fence or-
It doesn't need fencing, okay. Okay, so then, I think the motion would be to move forward with
With design.
design and purchase of a skate park.
I'll make a motion to move forward with design and purchase of a skate park, tentative to design,
Right, yeah.
a work session or a special meeting to.
To come up with the complete design. I'm counting on you for that, because I don't skateboard.
Well, I think that Tony Rock Foundation is.
That's a good
I think we
one.
could-
Well, the skateboard foundation now.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they changed it, but.
It's
Okay.
April, yeah.
Okay. So we've got a motion, do I have a second?
second,
Okay.
I did.
Okay, we'll have a second by Counselor Foley. Roll call.
Okay, Counselor George Wondell,
Yes,
Counselor Dan Foley,
absolutely, yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Exciting, thank you, guys. Okay, next on the agenda is the Taos Air commitment. So we had committed 19,000 pre-COVID. And that was for summer only, 2 markets only. And they're asking for 35,000, which we do have enough money in lodger's tax that we can do that comfortably. So, my recommendation would go with the 35,000. I'm certainly open to discussion.
It's worth trying to see if air service can develop here.
Yeah. And it is our markets. I mean, it is our markets that they're going to.
They're the only ones that are gonna try it.
Yeah, because again, they're basically a nonprofit,
Yeah,
I guess. That's kind of what he said.
yeah.
He didn't say that.
But they aren't making any money off of it.
He didn't quite say, I did that.
And
What?
I know the people in Taos will probably, the residents of Taos will probably be against it, because they think the airport's for rich people only,
And they don't want tourists anyway.
On this proposal email that's in our packet, it says propose 100,000 per year. It's 1.25 million for 4 markets for 2 years. It's got us at 100 per year. Where does that number come
See,
from?
that's,
That was the original proposal,
Gotcha.
but from what Chad said tonight, they're
Yeah,
hoping the
this is
county
okay.
does 400 and the town 300. And I think I heard him say they were hoping for 65 from Angel Fire and then
Okay.
which is, I was thinking 100,000 would be more than we could.
we can afford
could
that.
do that.
You know, and if it takes off and our lodger's tax just goes crazy over it, then we can afford more.
Just try it out. I think, like George said, it's worth, I think it's the only shot we're gonna have for air
Now,
service.
the only thing I still question is right now, I don't know, if people fly in, then to get them up here, you know, Chad has his vehicle to haul people up here.
And I think they're working with the blue buses to see if they can't do something where they could get them up here, possibly put in more, rental car places. So, you know, if there's that need, people are gonna step up and fill it.
I think so.
And who knows, some of our second
So-
homeowners may just park cars there. Yes, Dan?
With this commitment, do we have a set amount that we would be seeing some sort of visual advertisement in the planes or whatever for the passengers to help market for Red River as well?
I know that previously they did have, like the magazines, you know, that they put in the pockets. Chaz, are you still on?
I am, Mayor. Yes, I am.
Okay. Could you answer that question? Will there be any kind of advertising that we'll be receiving in the flights, in the planes?
This proposal does not include any advertising. First, we're not sure what we're going to be doing in terms of seat back materials in the plane, given that we've stopped putting those in the planes, in most operations. So we're not sure if there's even going to be anything. But this support that we're asked for is excluding any marketing efforts. We're leaving it to each community to leverage the service through their own promotion. We are going to promote the service, just the Taos Air brand, and our organization is going to be putting, frankly, several $100,000s into the Taos Air promotion. The state, we're applying for a matching grant. So you're going to see a lot of Taos Air promotion in Austin and in Dallas. And the town of Taos plans to, kind of piggyback off of that and do their own campaigns. New Mexico True will probably piggyback off it. And I would assume that the respective municipalities will do that as well. If we do come out and do some kind of seat back piece, we'll certainly reach out to all of our partners and discuss opportunities there.
I just flew on American, and they did have seat back magazines still.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear that some are bringing it back, so we're still just feeling that out.
Okay. All right, any other questions? I would entertain a motion to support Taos Air with a $35,000 commitment this year.
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Council Wendell. Any other questions or discussions? Okay, let's do roll call.
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor George Wondell,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next item is lobbyist renewal. You guys have in your packet our contract, the agreement that we've used with Universal Professional Services over the last, I don't know how many years, 25 years possibly. At this point, Georgette and I have discussed that since we have our federal consultants in DC, and since we have such good relationships with our state representative and senator, that we're not sure that this is really necessary right now. And I'd like to propose that we possibly do our own lobbying for the next year and see how that works out for us. And that would be, what, $30,000?
29.
That I really think we could use in other ways that might be more beneficial to us. So I just kind of wanted to get y'all's input on that and see what you thought. I mean, we got 300,000 this year. I think we would have gotten that anyway.
We just spent 35 on a blocker set.
Exactly. So this will save that, won't it?
Oh, there we
It's a
go.
wash.
That comes back into the lodging tax.
I don't know about that.
So,
And I mean, I think, would you say that, you say us doing our own lobbying, I know that you are extremely active personally in helping us take care of that. Hopefully everybody knows that, but it's not like one person's gonna step up and fill this type of a position, but it's just, we're gonna.
well, you know, what we do is, we met with the senator before the session. We have to submit everything to them. We work with North Central Economic Development District, and they have some great people. They can kind of step in and fill in that gap for us. So I think there's other resources to us that we can tap into without having to pay for it.
Copy.
And I'd like to at least see us try. I don't think that we, you know, the way the finances with the state have been over the last several years, I just don't know that it's been that beneficial for us to continue paying the lobbyist. And especially this year when they couldn't even go in the roundhouse to meet with them. So I guess I would ask for a motion to not renew our lobbyist contract for the upcoming year. And we can always revisit this next year if we feel like it was a mistake.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we sit out of lobbying, hiring lobbyists for a year,
Okay,
see how we can do our own.
okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion or
Second.
questions on that? Yes, Dan?
He seconded.
He seconded? Okay.
Counselor
All right, let's have roll call.
George Wondell,
Yes,
Counselor Sloan Covington,
Yes.
Counselor Dan Foley.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay, now to the big one, purchase playground equipment.
Dan, are you at Mars?
Just takes a lot to travel.
My what, George?
I was wondering if you were at the planet Mars, because the transmission takes so
Oh,
long to
yeah,
get.
why is it breaking up? Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Okay, so we have a quote from Exerplay, and they are on state contract CEF. It's gone up tremendously since the last quote, 2016, it was what, 100?
I think it was close to 100, yeah.
Close to 100, so, you know, prices are only gonna increase. This would require, us being responsible for moving the existing playground. And I know, do you guys have a copy of what it looks like? Have y'all seen that?
No.
Oh.
Let me find that for you, because I think it's important that you see what it is. It includes, a new main piece for the older kids, the 5 to 12. Swing sets, and then another piece for the 2 to 5-year-old kids, a separate piece, but let me find that for you.
And I believe Parks and Rec, it's the same design Parks and Rec had been working on.
Yes,
They recommended or?
exactly.
So now do they install or we have to install too? Or we just take the old one out?
Greg will come up and help with the install, and we're gonna hopefully get community help with us to do it, to put it in. So here it is.
Can you share your screen? No, you're not connected. huh?
I'm not connected. So it would have the climbing walls. All of this is made out of concrete. So it's going to be very durable. He says it could last us for 20 to 30 years. And then the swing sets, this would be the smaller structure for the younger kids.
So is that like on this one, we have the edging with the chips in there, is this basically the same thing?
This will be the same thing. We'll use the mulch, the
So
chips.
they're thinking cubic yards.
There you go. We would put this kind of slide in instead of this type. So anyway,
Dan has all his money available?
he does, believe it or not, we've got money. We've got-
Hey, George,
Yeah,
I've been trying to get us suspended for a while, so yeah, we're ready.
Okay, here's the drawing. This is the layout. So,
Is there space for a future splash pad in here?
no. With no space, no money. I don't know. Who knows? The splash pad needs to go down at the heliport where there's water already.
There you go.
Okay, so this would be the kiddie area, and then the swing set, and then the older area. And then this would go ahead then and include the exercise
you
equipment.
think
We
we
need to
could,
make sure
you
that
think
works.
they could include, if they get it operable?
Well,
in this
we need
bid?
to have him come look and service it, hopefully.
I assume this freight and shipping charge of $12,000 is to them. I mean, or is that from Albuquerque? Can we go down for the $12,000 to pick it up?
I wonder if you can, hire a trucking company.
But maybe that's just the cost from the manufacturer.
I think that's what it is,
I mean,
actually.
if that's the cost to get it from Albuquerque, I think we could get.
No, I don't think that's from Albuquerque. I think that's for the manufacturer. And when I was talking to Greg, I told him that we'd really, like to have this in just as soon as we can get it. So we were shooting for July 1 for this.
Nice.
So, but I think it's gonna, I mean, there are so many people, so many kids that use that. I think it's gonna be a huge improvement to the town.
Well, and the
Okay.
other thing is, as far as the colors, I know everybody kind of threw some ideas out on the committee. But if the guys on the council want to look at that as well, we could come up on a color scheme, maybe pick a couple and then everybody just decide what we like the best.
I think the one that we were going with was very similar to what was in the email. And we were talking about, we wanted to do the slide so that it wasn't a dark color. So it would basically be this leaf, yeah, so we don't want to burn the bottoms. Kind of a leaf green, a leaf and then a tan and a brown. So it sort of goes in with the,
Is there any part of this one that could be reusable down at Millette?
I don't think so. It's not ADA, it's
And we're gonna
not,
surplus this one?
yeah, that's what we do, we surplus it.
Hey, Dan, this fits in with your long-term Brandenburg Park plan, right?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay, so if I could have a motion to, purchase playground equipment in the amount of $156,000, $295. A lot of smiles. It is. We're gonna have some happy kids.
I'll make the motion.
I think that's very appropriate, Dan. Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, roll call.
Counselor Dan Foley,
Yes,
Counselor George Morgan,
Yes.
Counselor Sloan Covington.
Yes.
Motion carries. Dan, you should have a very happy committee.
And I hope we have a very happy community as well.
I think we will. I think everybody's going to be very happy with the tennis courts and the skate park and the playground equipment. All right. That brings us to public comment. Does anybody have anything to say to council?
I got a question.
Okay.
What would it, did they ever look at what it would take to get the drinking fountains at Brandenburg Park, that park working again?
I don't think we can't do it right now, because of COVID, but we can look into it.
Okay. Yeah, you can't have drinking
You can't
fountains
have
because of
them, but I
COVID.
mean, at some point, it'd be nice to have water up there again.
At Millet.
Yeah.
Question, Anchorville is done on Bitter Creek, correct?
I don't think they're completely done with
Okay.
resurfacing the road.
Okay, that was my question. Perfect, because it is awful.
Actually, we went up and smoothed it, I think, because
Okay, wait.
I got a text from Steve Hagelin that said it was much
Like
nicer.
today?
I think so. It was late last night, but
Okay.
he went up and still had teeth.
All right, perfect. And then the last thing that I have, public comment. I know Dan and Parks are doing a park cleanup on May 12th. We are doing a river cleanup on May 6th. And if anybody has questions, they can come see me or Michael Calhoun at the brewery.
Okay. Perfect. Any other comments, announcements?
I just had a question with the whole sidewalk thing. I didn't know, has Carl Colonius and the status of like the Cuesta Red River Trail, is there consideration of like, I know this is really long term, but it just got the wheels spinning listening to that presentation of how we would tie in like the Cuesta de Red River Trail along 38, and then even would we extend sidewalks on both sides of town with like towards the east and west end?
Yeah. You know, this project doesn't go that far. I know that, the Cuesta de Red River Trail's got $200,000 from the legislature to begin their engineering. So I'm sure we're gonna be the fiscal agent for that. So we will be working with them very closely. And, you know, when it gets to that design, we can kind of see how we might do that. But this is just for where the existing sidewalks are.
But it would be nice to eventually
Yeah,
sidewalk
it would be
through
nice.
town.
It would be.
We've talked about that before.
Well, now-
after.
I thought originally we were talking about where the trail comes up. Weren't we gonna try and tie that into the trail system that again runs in behind the park over there by the fishing ponds and then on into the trail by the ski house?
Our sidewalks?
No,
Oh, their trail,
What's-
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I think they were, and then they have to start dealing with private properties when they reach the end of town or the edge of town and see how they can actually go through and tie it through there. But I think that is the ultimate goal.
Perfect. I know it's long term, and I just like, I think Sloan mentioned it. It would definitely be a really cool thing to see on both ends of town with how many people
It
will
truly
walk.
would be. I agree. Okay. Anybody else? Nothing in the chat? Nothing in the chat? Nothing else? Okay, awesome. Thank you, guys. Have a good evening, and thank you for attending. Bye. We will be adjourned.